Joining me now, Barbara McQuade, former U.S. attorney, now law professor at University of Michigan and MSNBC legal analyst. It's good to see you, Barbara. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday. So every day of delay in issuing the Trump immunity ruling equals a day of delay in Trump's D.C. January 6th trial. Does the Supreme Court deserve credit or contempt for not considering the urgency of this political season?
Well, you know, in my view, it is really inexcusable. You look historically at the case against Richard Nixon during the Watergate tapes case. The court heard oral argument in that case and issued its opinion 16 days later. We've been waiting for almost 3 months now for the court to issue its opinion in this case. And although certainly it's a complicated issue and likely there are differences of opinion, it's not just a defendant who has a right to a speedy trial, it is also the public. And so, as you said, every day that passes by is a day that that case does not go to trial. And I think the court is failing to recognize the urgency of the public's right to a speedy trial.
Yeah, and there's a lot of contempt for the way they have handled this in terms of timing. But there are a number of court watchers who are reading something ominous into the lack of expediency. Do you share that?
I don't know. I think, you know, one of the reasons that the court often issues its most important decisions at the end of the term is because there is so much disagreement over them. You know, often it's the 5-4 decisions in the blockbuster cases that come out in these last days of June. This is when you get the cases like Dobbs or affirmative action or marriage equality, and that's because there's so many differing opinions and drafts that have to go back and forth. So I like to give good faith to the justices and believe that they're not deliberately dragging their feet and trying to stall this issue, but it would be nice to see them acting with appropriate urgency so that this case could get on with the show.
Politico has reported on a rift, if you want to call it that, among the conservative justices Thomas and Coney Barrett. It became evident after the court's gun rights ruling last Friday. First of all, do you see a rift there? And could their debate over originalism be extended into Trump's immunity claims?
Yeah, it's really interesting language here. Amy Coney Barrett really kind of charting out some independent territory here for herself. You know, Clarence Thomas, of course, is the one who wrote in Bruin and now in his dissent in Rahimi, this gun case from Friday, the importance of history and tradition. But Justice Barrett really pushes back here and talks about, you know, history and tradition can be helpful, but it is not the end in itself. It is simply a means to an end. And she says we can't be trapped in amber forever just because of what happened in the law. And certainly in a case like restoring gun rights to domestic violence offenders, you know, if we look at what the world was like at the time of the founding, there was not a lot of sympathy for women who were abused by their husbands at the time. And so she says we have to take note of sociological change. And so I think she is really staking out some different ground here. And is it a rift? You know, I don't know if it's spilled into their personal lives, but on paper, she goes so far as to accuse Justice Thomas of what he's accused others of, and that is judge-made law.
That is interesting. And we should remind viewers that it was an 8-1 ruling. Justice Thomas, the lone dissenter in that ruling, so really on an island unto himself on that one. So the classified documents case, let's move there, because Judge Cannon is hearing 5 pretrial motions over 3 days. Tomorrow, she'll hear arguments on Jack Smith's request for a gag order on Trump, prompted by his false claims that the FBI wanted to kill him. Does this set her up for some sort of an existential challenge, considering any which way she rules is likely to be appealed?
Yes. And so, you know, once this case gets into the hands of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, they have in front of them the opportunity to remove her from the case. And so I think that is what is so interesting here. The government, of course, is arguing that this should be a very limited order preventing Donald Trump from saying these false and defamatory things about FBI agents who are likely to be witnesses in this case. And on the other hand, Donald Trump, of course, is arguing this is some violation of his First Amendment rights, though we've seen again and again in these cases that limited gag orders happen routinely in criminal cases and is certainly found to be in compliance with the First Amendment. But no doubt, whichever way she rules, I think it's quite likely that the non-prevailing side will appeal. And then once the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals has it, they do have that opportunity to reassign the case to a new judge.
Let me ask you about the big one we're expecting. I'd like your prediction for the Trump immunity ruling. Which way will they lean? Will they drop the ruling before or after the debate Thursday? What do you think?
I think there's a decent chance it comes out before Thursday, but it's just really hard to predict, and I don't think that they are considering that whatsoever. I think they issue decisions when they're ready, and so if it's ready, it'll come out, and if it's not, it won't. What do I predict? I think that they're going to find, regardless of whether they draw the line on immunity, that Donald Trump's conduct in this case is not protected by immunity, and so the case can get back on track. I suppose there's a possibility that they set a test and they send it back to the lower court for fact-finding as to whether it meets this test, which would involve further delay in the case. But based on the statements even the most conservative justices said during oral argument, they said, I'm not worried about this case, but we're writing for the ages. And so it seems that they're concerned about where to draw the line for future presidents, even if this president clearly crossed the legal line.
Okay, Barbara McQuade, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.